going to be LSU women's basketball, and that is the Tigers taking care of business versus Iowa yesterday and scoring the most points in the history of the national championship game, the women's national championship game, as they go over 100. They scored 102 yesterday to close out Iowa, 102-85. So many stories in this game, right? Obviously, Kim Mulkey going back home and winning a national championship at LSU, kind of calling her shot at that press conference a couple of years ago when she was introduced, when she looked up at the banners and read Final Four, Final Four, Final Four, no national championship, and knew it was her task and her job to bring it back. And, you know, in only her second season, wow, with a team that was outside of the top 20 going into the season, going into the year, to find themselves the last one standing here in year two has got to have Mulkey really amped up about what the future is going to be like for this program. I can't anticipate, for as much as I last week was saying, I don't think that Mulkey was surprised by the success of the program. She's got to wake up this morning surprised that she's a national champ. I mean, what a story, right? First off, in a run, a tournament run that has been filled with, at times, really just poor basketball, right? Where it was tough to make shots, it was tough to execute. Tigers were on last night as they shot nearly 55% from the field, 54%, including 11 of 17 from three-point range. Story of the night, one of them at least, is Jasmine Carson. Carson, a senior from Memphis, coming into the game, averaged 8 points a game. Last night in the national championship game, she had 22 points and was perfect from the field. It was amazing. She shot 83% from the three-point line and shot 88% from the field. I mean, just a night and a game that Jasmine Carson will talk about forever. I mean, she will tell her great-grandkids about the national championship in 2022, in 2023, where she went nuclear. I mean, it was so fun to watch, man. I mean, rarely do you see someone ask for a heat check, like during a game, like, yo, hit me, and knock it down. I mean, she was kind of checking herself, like, how hot am I? And one of those threes that she just drained running back down the floor where she was just going, you know, rarely, like she said in the postgame, rarely does she celebrate. But, I mean, that was an incredible emotion. And then the shot before half where she banks it in was just, you know, it was kind of another indicator that it was her night. I mean, it was falling for Jasmine Carson. And I know a lot of hard work has gone into that. And for it to come true during the national championship game, man, what a moment. What a moment for the senior and what a moment for the program. I thought all in all, LSU was that they were so well prepared. You know, and I think that you have to recognize first and foremost, you know, kind of what you were going up against in Caitlin Clark. I mean, I got to be honest. I mean, the past couple of weeks, I've really come to learn really who Clark is. I mean, not that I really knew who she was, but I mean, after watching her play a couple of times, the game versus South Carolina, and then watching her play yesterday in the national championship, I mean, she's the best college basketball player in the country, and it's not even close. I'm talking about both sides, men and women. I mean, she's got this feeling to her that at any point in the game, she can go off. And when I mean go off, like get like 12 points in 2 minutes, I mean, like she is scary. The way the ball goes through the net, I mean, has like a real Steph Curry feel to it. The first 3 minutes of the game, I mean, if you're Kim Mulkey, you're thinking, what are we going to do? She's throwing it in from the parking lot. I mean, she's fun to watch, man. A couple of 40-point performances and then 30 yesterday. You know, I thought LSU did a really good job of paying attention to her after she really was showing her range off early in that game. You know, showing that there's really no spot that she won't pull it from. and she can bury it from anywhere. So LSU, I thought defensively handled up on her and get the win 102-85. I cannot believe, really, I can't believe how many people are showing just how dumb of sports fans you are, or like I'm not getting into this at all, and I'm not trying to kick the ant pile, but I mean, this story with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, this is hopefully this is just social media drama, right? I mean, like some of the people, but I mean, you see some of the names getting involved in this. Dave Portnoy calling Angel Reese, a piece of bleep, use your imagination on Twitter, on social media, is I thought it was a fake account when I saw it at first. I mean, no way the Barstool CEO is getting involved at that level of name calling to a college athlete. And I know that it takes on a different tone now that they're getting paid and that they're, almost employees of the sport. But still, all in all, I mean, this is a young person at a high point in their life, and he goes to name calling on social media after knowing that the other side, the opponent, has done that. I mean, I saw Caitlin Clark, that clip of her doing that against Louisville 60 times before the game. I mean, before Angel Reese ever did it. And it was laughed at. It was talked about as, her being focused, how big how she's competitive, how she's a player. And then to see the reaction and just what is spewing from people on social media about Angel Reese at the end of the game for giving it back to, Caitlin Clark, kind of doing the John Cena, you can't see me in front of her face, and then pointing to her ring finger as to say, we're about to, collect some jewelry, is, I can't believe it. The fallout, what are we talking about? I mean, that's sports. That's competition. I mean, people really have this type of reaction to that stuff. I mean, I remember Joe Burrow doing this on the national championship stage a couple of years ago. I mean, in the middle of the field. And I never heard one piece of pushback from it. And to see some of the stuff that you're reading on social media after Angel Reese is celebrating a national championship in a competitive environment where they've been going back and forth all game. I mean, that game was chippy. That game was competitive. I mean, that's what competition is. I mean, these quick whistles on technical fouls these days and, unsportsmanlike conducts and going to the replay when stuff happens, it's like, at what point do you draw the line of, hey, this is competition. I know that there is a clear line, but I mean, that's not crossing it. I mean, that's not even flirting with it to cross it. To me, I mean, that's good competition. Tyrann Mathieu and Tom Brady in the Super Bowl going at each other, Brady chasing Mathieu down, getting in his face and, telling him whatever he was saying in his ear. That's the good stuff. I mean, that's what I came to see, man. There's a great clip of Michael Jordan playing, I believe, in the 1992 Eastern Conference Finals versus the Knicks, where him and Xavier McDaniel come face to face, and Jordan is just, he's talking so much. I mean, he's got spit flying out of his mouth in McDaniel's face. I mean, that's the stuff that it's all about. That's the stuff when you look out there and you're saying, hey, they're emotionally involved. They're invested. They're in it. They care. It matters. And for that to be ridiculed and broken down to unsportsmanlike and classless. What is class in sports? I mean, ultimate class. I mean, when you get into competition, it gets grimy. It gets a little dirty. I mean, you say you want to go stand down and get close to the competition. Well, don't be surprised on some of the stuff that you hear. I mean, I never forget somebody that I was working with in radio early on had a chance to go down on the sideline and cover a LSU football game, and was kind of, if you cover the game from a photo standpoint, as the field flips, right, as the ball kind of changes each side of the field, the photography staff has to run kind of behind the bench, of LSU as they kind of, they get back and forth from each side of the field. And, one person was telling me when they got back into the office, like on a Monday or Tuesday morning, like just how appalled they were by the way that the coaches and players communicate down there. I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, I mean, it's just nonstop MF and nonstop, calling the opponents. I'm like, what do you think competition is, man? Like, you think that people are really in that moment, as they're focused and zoned in on winning, really concerned about how they communicate to somebody that they're trying to take something from? I mean, all of this pushback, man, is just, I can't believe it. I really cannot believe the amount of people that's kind of like showing their ass on this thing. I mean, like, just some of the reaction from that stuff is amazing.